I have got a slightly unexpected development to bring you now. Yes, that strap, if you're watching us on television, is right. It says Boris is back. I didn't know this was happening, but here we go. Boris Johnson has arrived to speak at a Conservative campaign event in London, which will be addressed by the Prime Minister Rishi Sunak later this evening. He was greeted with cheers, claps, whistles, chants of Boris, Boris, Boris. And I can show you a bit of it now.
We restored democracy. We restored democracy to our country, and it was because we got a proper Brexit, and you will all remember how hard that fight was, that we came out of the EU single market and we controlled our own regulation. And my friends, whatever people may say, that national independence was vital when it came to approving COVID vaccines faster than any EU country, and therefore getting the fastest vaccine rollout of any major economy and the fastest economic rebound in the G7. And let me just ask you, in case you've forgotten it, because I haven't had a chance to remind you recently, which, of all the 200 countries on earth, which was the first government, after all the miseries of COVID, to put a licensed, approved and effective vaccine into the arms of our citizens? It was a British government. Yes. It was a Brexit government. It was a Conservative government. And it was thanks to...
OK, so look, that is Boris Johnson there. He is still going. What we're going to do is we're going to clip up some of the best bits of this, OK, and we'll play that to you a bit later on in the show. With just 2 days to go until the voters go to the polls, Rishi Sunak has made a last-ditch attempt to rally Tory supporters today. He highlighted a recent YouGov poll suggesting that if only 130,000 voters switch to the Tories, then Labour will be denied a majority. But get this, this is the line of the evening. He's even called in Boris Johnson, who got this rock star's welcome at a rally in central London just moments ago.
Good evening. Thank you very much. Thank you. I love it.
Well, so Boris is back, everybody, and he was warning about the dangers of a Labour majority.
If these polls are right, then at the very moment when this country has beaten COVID and beaten post-COVID inflation, at the very moment when we should be encouraging enterprise and growth and putting some money into home ownership and putting some money into people's pockets, Westminster is about to go in diametrically the opposite direction. And so none of us can sit back as a Labour government prepares to use a sledgehammer majority to destroy so much of what we have achieved, what you have achieved.
I'm joined now by former Conservative Minister James Heappey. James, look, thank you very much. Surely the irony is not lost on you of Rishi Sunak, the man who many people think stabbed Boris in the back. A room full of Conservatives there cheering Boris, Boris, Boris. Well, they shouldn't have got rid of him then, should they?
Nope.
Thank you, James, for joining us tonight here on GBNews. No, but I mean, OK, what do you make of that? Is it desperate, or does he just have to do it strong?
No, I mean, the guy's got a star appeal. He cuts through with voters in a way that almost nobody else in UK politics does. And who better to come out, even at the 11th hour, and just land the message that the party campaign has struggled to land throughout the campaign. He will cut through with voters in a way that 1,000 interviews with current members of the cabinet on the morning media round won't.
So why has he left it so late, do you think?
I don't know. I mean, I think Boris has been on a few holidays and
writing a book, I believe.
Yeah, exactly. So look, and he's not the party leader anymore. And moreover, I suspect that at the start of the campaign, Number 10 probably thought they weren't going to need to call on Boris at all.
That's a good point. Right, so here we are, a couple of days out now, and the glass has been smashed and the Boris Johnson figurine has been taken out of it and plumped in front of a microphone. And everyone's going, oh, gosh, I remember this guy, actually. Oh, he's quite charismatic, isn't he? He's the kind of person that maybe, just maybe, people might be convinced to vote for. And you wonder whether or not, actually, he should have played a bigger part in this entire campaign.
Yeah, of course. And look, I I'm a biased actor. I was his parliamentary private secretary before the 2019 general election, and I was saying to colleagues all the way up until the moment that they kicked him out, don't think that what happens tomorrow is that everything gets better, right? The Conservative Party will take years to recover from kicking out a Prime Minister that won an 85 majority.
How responsible was Rishi Sunak for that?
I think that all of that is well rehearsed, and I'm back at 10 o'clock on Thursday night after the polls have closed, and I think that's the moment for recrimination and analysis. Okay. Where we're at the moment is that the Prime Minister needed to land a message. The public haven't been listening too enthusiastically to the Conservative Party over recent weeks. You wheel out Boris, it leads the news, everybody's talking about it, and the message will land.
Right, OK, well, we'll have to wait and see. Now, there's been a couple of... Boris being back in campaigning for the Tories, we were talking about it a little bit there, but to me it just feels quite desperate, Stephen, actually. It feels a bit like the man who stabbed him in the back, full of a room full of people who could have stood up and stopped Boris being deposed, if they'd wanted to, are now cheering and going, look how great this is, Boris is here, oh, you should vote for us now. It's weird. I find it weird.
It's pathetic.
I find it sad. I find it really utterly sad that the Conservative Party feel that they have to bring back the person they've stabbed in the back. I keep wondering, it's Cicero or Caesar, are the knife wounds still there? Have they sewn them up just before he's got back? And what is even sadder is that Boris has decided that he will actually go through this farce for them. So what is in it for him? So you have to ask yourself, he would not do this unless he had some...
I think I do know what's in it for him, which is the limelight. He absolutely... He knew that if he turned up in that room tonight at the end of a lacklustre Tory campaign, he knew that he'd get cheered to the rafters, and he absolutely loves it. And he knew he'd upstage Rishi Sunak. These guys hate each other, and he's fully upstaged him.
All right.